talking about the impact of Worlds, the view of Maxi, and have TCG players finally surpassed OCG players? Make sure you guys smash the elven crap out of that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out on more awesome content. So this has been a discussion point here for a lot of the weekend here because no OCG players managed to top. They were playing on NA policy documents, and I know that a lot of people look at Worlds format and they're like, this is a make-believe format. Like, why do we care about this? Well, here's the blunt and honest truth about it. I was reading an interesting theory today about, COVID making Yu-Gi-Oh players actually, did they get stronger out here? Did the 4 years that they had in the hyperbolic time chamber, those DB grind warriors out here, I mean, let's call it what it is at this point in time. Did COVID make Yu-Gi-Oh players better? And I honestly think the amount of time that, people had being shut in here, the amount of time that they did have playtesting, I kind of agree with that. I think that's a very interesting take. You might think that, Dueling Book, all the online platforms might be a waste of time, or they don't simulate real things. It does make the gears in your head turn. It does make you, think about this and, we did kind of have the hyperbolic time chamber, the training montage arc here of all of this happening. Now, I mean, is this justifiable? Or, does the other side of the equation here, we had a lot of time to test, we've been in this format longer. It did kind of feel like the OCG players were too far ahead this time, the way it felt, because we did see the Tri-Brigade version with like the Fallen of Albaz sprite stuff in here, and they're one of the best players in the world. And I was reading from a couple of TCG players, so like, there's no way one of the best players in the world brought a deck that was on half of a sprite package. And I don't think that that's necessarily true. It did really much feel like a lot of the OCG players were just kind of there to chill. And there's nothing wrong with that at the end of the day. But, they already were forced to play underneath TCG policy documents. Also, to be fair, one of the points that I read was if it takes 18 minutes to end on a purely board, there is a little bit of an issue there. A standard purely player taking that long, that's unheard of, especially in a 45-minute tournament. I can understand, the more casual side of things. Well, if players want to think out their moves and things like that, yes, there is a time and a place to slow down and think. But if you're going to check your graveyard, you're going to check your extra deck, you're going to check all of these zones 3 times very slowly, then that's just pure slow play. There's no way about it. I understand that, if you're going to make a check through it once, but the fine line here is it's still going to be playing at that appropriate pace. You know what I mean? And I think that's a very important thing to consider at the end of the day. One, yeah, they're not used to, the grind of the TCG. That's fine. I also believe that slow play warnings were handed out like candy at the event. That's not a bad thing. No. It means that they're enforcing that, and that's a good thing. All right? Trust me, this slow play thing, especially at the highest level of play, I do not blame them at all for enforcing them on the level that they were enforcing, especially if you're, if you have a player meeting and, you sit all these players down, and you're like, hey guys, please play at a reasonable pace, please understand that, you need to keep the game state going, but when you get down to the nitty gritty here, and, once again, you're checking all those zones 3 times, there is an issue. So, yeah, I am strictly for the slow play pushes there. I think that that's very, very important. So, with the slow play thing out of the side, let's shift on over here to the Maxi. So, there's been a big argument out of this going, the OCG's become too reliant on Maxi. They can't play a format without the big cockroach. And I could see that. I could see the dependence on Maxi because the card does warp deck building. There is no way that you look at the current structure of how things are going, and you look at Maxine, you're like, well, you know, I don't think that the card warps the game in any way. It does. All right. Now, in a format where things are a little bit more casual, you know, they want people to be able to, you know, win off of random takes, then it does become, you know, better. But on the top end of the competitive grind here, I got to give it to the TCG. They grinded it out. It was beautiful. Not only did, you know, the amount of time pass, I got to give it to the masters of Dragon Link out here. You know, when you're looking at Dragon Link and you're looking at the development of that deck, we've had way more time with it. The OCG didn't. I mean, they also have Chaos Ruler at the end of the day, and that card already warps things on its own. So the fact that not only do they have this dependency on Chaos Ruler, their buy steals are limited. So when the TCG players, you know, step into this and they're like, oh, hey, you know, we end on Borreload, Borreload Savage, you know, the Spheres Interruptions, you know, everything else that we kind of bring to the table here, you do have to keep in mind that all of that value comes together, and that's what makes, you know, that deck work. And it does very much feel like a TCG specialty at this point in time. I honestly do think that Dragon Link has been the TCG's baby at this point in time. And the fact that, you know, not only do we have Old Reliable out here, Sword Soul in the OCG just, it also never really felt like it took off. It was there, and then it just kind of rode off into the sunset. Meanwhile, Sword Soul has just been, people are like, all right, today's the day I feel like I could get a regional top. So they dust off the deck and they're like, all right, so this is what we can do. We end on, you know, Baron, Cheese Out with the possibility of the blackout. We board in the anti-scam fragrance. There are ways to go about it to have that level of success. And I think that is an important thing at the end of the day. So a lot to take in there. All right. One, the OCG is so far ahead of things. When you dial back things can be missed. Things can be miscued. I get that. Maxi is such a terribly designed card that you strip it away and it all kind of comes down. So where does this leave us? You know, is the OCG doomed? You know, ooh, it's the end of the era. No. I wholeheartedly think that this is a learning experience. I think that looking at how things are right now, I think the hunger is gonna, it's gonna be a Hunger Game reference. The hunger, they're gonna come back with a vengeance. To be fair, it did take Yu-Gi-Oh players 25 years to reach some of these accomplishments. That's neither here nor there. But at the end of the day, when you're kind of looking at how everything is going here, I'll be honest with you. I think that the OCG is going to develop that hunger, and they're going to come back for it, because that's just what I expect. I also do think that, based off of this Worlds, I think they're going to maybe reconsider looking at Maxi, looking at how the policy documents from the TCG actually impacted this, and I'm pretty sure they're going to take a lot of notes. I think we're going to see a lot more changes than a lot of people really think are going to come down here from the top. Those are very important things to consider out here, but I mean, the main point of this video is to say, you know, stepping stones for this event, we had very good showcasings of a lot of the things wrong with the game. We had very good examples of a lot of the things in the game that are very interesting. And I will say that it is nice to feel like the TCG players did kind of get the better step here. They feel like, I mean, I thought Worlds was going to be a terrible event after the whole, you know, we're in the back rooms, all the memes aside, but they brought the final show together, and I think that's a good thing. So, congratulations to the TCG players out here. I do want to ask the question, do you feel like, you know, Maxi warped things, you know, not in favor of the OCG? Do you feel like the training montage of the last 4 years really mattered all that much? But please, do leave a comment down below. I do want to hear some of your thoughts on that. And I'll see your beautiful faces back here later today, guys. Peace out. patrons. Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.